What is up, everybody, on this beautiful Sunday? Glad to see everybody here. And I've got a good presentation for you today. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this obsession that we have with Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the Dolton situation, the Thornton Township situation, all of the drama, all of the negativity. So I'm going to share with you what I've dug up as far as why we seem to be so obsessed with this, even though we're sick and tired of all of this. We're sick of it. We just want it to all go away. So let me know if my mic is working. If you can hear my voice and the volume is at a good level, type "let's go" in the comments, and we will get started and talk about what is happening with our little brains from a psychology standpoint. And then I want you to chime in with your thoughts after I break this down for you. All right, Kevin says, let's go. Choose Compassion says, let's go. It looks like the mic is working well. Jeff says, everybody loves a train wreck. You got that right. Brian Pelfrey in the house. We got Dickie Mint in the house. All right. Critical Smoker, the amazing artist, is in the house. We've got 45 viewers in the live stream. So hit that like button and share and tell a friend that Go Political Carlton is on, and I am going to drop the knowledge. Okay, so let me shift on over here to my notes. I'm going to read off of my notes and share with you the research of what is behind our obsession with this situation, with this hotspot in Dolton and all of the corruption, ridiculousness, and craziness that is going on. Okay, so we'll start this off talking about dark psychology techniques, and this will shed a little light on why we have all been drawn into this and seem to be stuck. First of all, we see a lot of manipulation and control. Now, this crazy word here, dark psychology, this refers to the manipulation and control of individuals through exploiting their emotions, desires, and vulnerabilities. I'm going to share with you some insight on what happens in the brain that causes us to get obsessed when it comes to triggering people's emotions. So in politics, these techniques are often used to sway public opinion, to gain support, and to secure political victories. Something else that is used, we have a lot of fear tactics. Politicians exploit fear by highlighting potential threats or creating a sense of doom. For example, the YouTubers that are covering the situation in Dolton and Thornton Township are often met with threats by people that are chiming into conversations behind fake names, and they will threaten us that we need to shut up or we could be possibly held liable for not telling the truth on them, for slander, for our own personal gain, because of course we're just in it for the money. That's one fear tactic that is used. Another is persuasion. Politicians use carefully crafted speeches to appeal to emotions and beliefs. Now, one thing is for sure, you cannot change people's belief systems. It's like something like a 1,000-pound stone that you can't lift up off the ground. And so they make these speeches aiming to change people's attitudes and behaviors, creating a sense of false unity or shared purpose to help to sway public opinion. Another one that is very common is deception. Political figures manipulate information, they twist the facts, or they withhold crucial details to shape public perception in their favor. Now, we've seen how many times that information has been withheld from the public with the denying of FOIA requests or denying things that we plainly see, even from the archives of public meetings. All right? But skewed versions of reality can influence voters and secure these political interests from those who are corrupt. Next, we have narcissism and power motivation. Now, as I read these things, I want you to think about the person in control in Dolton, and then we'll discuss what we see that is a match. Now, politicians often display narcissistic traits: self-centeredness, grandiosity, a need for attention, and very low empathy. These factors contribute to their behavior, including unethical actions. All right, the third point, a human desire for goodness. Now, psychologically, we want to view others as essentially good on the inside, and seeing people, seeing them as fundamentally evil, seeing a politician as fundamentally evil is very uncomfortable. Now, we tend to view those who agree with our perspectives as being intelligent. We tend to view people who don't have the same perspectives as we do as less intelligent. And we want to have a feeling that, say, the people who are in control have the same values that we do. So it leaves us in a very uncomfortable position watching someone in a position of power that does not share our values. Next, media sensationalism and drama. Stories involving evil politicians provide drama, intrigue, and conflict. The media capitalizes on this, keeping audiences engaged even when they don't reside in the same area. So we have noticed that WGN, ABC, NBC Chicago, all of these folks definitely are keeping the Dolton situation on Front Street, and it has attracted an audience around the world. This is an international embarrassment, an international obsession, not just for the people who are living under this, shall we say, incredulous rule of the current mayor. Now, the unresolved nature of Mayor Henyard's story creates suspense, compelling people to follow it closely. So we've got the FBI investigating. We've got all of the lawsuits going on. And everyone says, when are they going to stop her? When are we going to see an end to this nonsense? That creates suspense and causes us to become obsessed with the story. Now, the next item I have here is something that I covered before, and it's called cognitive dissonance and resolution. So when we, as people, are faced with conflicting information, in other words, you've got the politician's bad behavior and calling everything fake news, while the news is reporting on just the opposite, we experience what is known as cognitive dissonance. And we, as people, as human nature, we seek resolution by following the story each and every day, hoping and praying for clarity or justice. And even if we are not directly affected, we want closure. We want a sense of justice. The unresolved story just keeps us hooked, and we can't stand it as human beings to watch someone get away with murder and continue to do things that we know to be wrong and to benefit financially. Now, that is why we are so obsessed. And so over the last few months, I've had a lot of good people who are watching the channel that say, you know what? I'm just exhausted with this. I'm sick and tired of Tiffany Henyard, of Dolton, Thornton Township, and all of the crooked individuals that are involved in this mess. And I can't stand it. It makes me sick to my stomach. But what do? We keep watching. We keep participating in the discussion. We keep it going because we want closure. So I had one good follower that said, okay, if the title of your video doesn't say Tiffany Henyard arrested, I'm not watching. And I just laughed. I'm like, brother, I know how you feel, because day after day, watching this administration continue doing the things that they do, where we've got investigation after investigation, lawsuit upon lawsuit, all these crazy town hall meetings that go on, and it's not coming to a close. It makes us sick. I myself, I've gotten to the point where, as I am doing my research to produce the Dolton Chronicles, and I have a new one coming at you. I've got several, guys. You need to stay tuned because I've got some bangers coming your way. But as I am doing my research and watching the old videos, I'm going to tell you what, I can only handle listening to these town hall meetings for a certain extent of time. Like after 10, 15 minutes of hearing the mayor going off on the trustees, or hearing the poor residents speaking, pouring out their guts in anguish only to be ignored, I have to get up and walk away from it and take a breather, because I feel emotionally exhausted. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, how can a person get away with this? How can the world be watching this situation drag on day after day, but then nothing seems to be happening? She's not being stopped. Yeah, we got the lawsuits. Yeah, we got the FBI on the situation. But why is the principal agent of this mess still driving around in that $150,000 Tahoe? It gets under our skin to see the significant other driving in a BMW that was probably acquired, allegedly acquired, using taxpayer money. It gets under our skin to hear on the news that $3,000 a month is going towards hair and makeup. Now, when you consider 3 years of this, we're talking what, $3,000 a month? That's $36,000 a year. There's probably $100,000 that you, the taxpayers of the Thornton Township, are footing the bill for her hair and makeup. And that makes us sick to see this continue to go on. And we want it stopped. Now, whenever we're driving down the street and we run a stop sign, whoop, whoop, there go the police lights. You get pulled over and you get a ticket. When you get that ticket, there's a court date. If you don't pay that ticket by the court date, you get a warrant for your arrest if you pile up too many of them. Now, remember when we had the whole parking thing that went on, when the parking tickets went to $500 a piece to raise money for Dolton, for the budget that was underwater? Well, all the citizens, all the residents had to line up and wait for hours to pay those tickets under threat of the tickets being tripled. And that seems to be so unfair. Another thing that irritates people is watching the business owners suffer who can't get their business licenses renewed, while money is being poured into other businesses and they're allowed to flourish just because they're on the side of the administration. And so then that frustrates us. Even for me, living in Missouri, even though I'm from Chicago, and that's why I'm so obsessed with this, because this is taking place just 15, 20 minutes away from the neighborhood where I grew up. And me as a business owner, I tend to think, how horrible would it be if I had the mayor of Jefferson City not renewing my license because I won't donate to a campaign? It's frustrating. And you think, well, that's not fair. Now I want you to think back when you were a kid. You're 8 years old. You're in grade school, all right? And the teacher says, okay, kids, we're going to have a snack, a treat. If you don't talk for the rest of class, And if you're good and get your homework done, I'm going to hand out donuts. We were just talking about donuts before the stream started. And so the person sitting next to you who is an antagonist pokes you in the side and then slaps you in the back of the head. And you yell out and say, "Stop it!" And then the teacher says, "That's it, little Jimmy. You don't get a donut." So then the teacher hands out donuts to everybody but you. And your adversary gets a donut and eats their donut and looks at you and smiles and says, "Ha ha, you got in trouble and you didn't get a donut." And then you're thinking in your mind, that's not fair. Why did I get passed up and punished when I wasn't the one who was doing wrong? Well, guess what, guys? That's what is behind our obsession with this, because we desire fair treatment, just like we did when we were kids. Okay? When you were being the good kid in class, you wanted to be rewarded and treated fairly. When you worked hard on the football team or on the baseball team, only to see the coach's kids get picked for the starting position, you were upset and you wanted to be treated with equal fairness. Well, we grow up and that childlike nature is still inside of us. So even though all of these things could be fakealizations, put all that aside. We're still watching unfair treatment of residents, of business owners, of people who are not given the same benefit of the doubt, are not given tolerance, or say, for example, free indeed. Okay, a person who is trying to do good for the community but can't get her business licensed, not being treated fairly. And so that goes right back to childhood, when we tend to think, if I do what's right and I am respecting others, I want fair treatment. And so this is why people all over the world, we have an international audience here, guys. They're watching this because this hits a trigger. It's been there since childhood. And so for all the people that are watching all over the world, we feel for the people who are receiving unfair treatment by this administration. We feel for the people who are struggling to keep their lights on, to keep their electric on, only to see certain individuals, significant others, driving around in $100,000 cars, or certain parental figures driving around in $100,000 cars while the others suffer. It's hard to watch. And we want those people who are struggling just to be treated right. And then when we hear the mayor say, "Hey, Thornton Township is here for the people. We give you everything for free. We're here to turn on your lights, pay your water bill, put you on a new roof, cut all your trees. We're here to give you everything for free." And then we're sitting here thinking, is it free or is it the taxpayers' money? And are these people being given fair treatment, or is this being offered to trigger the emotions of the residents so that these nefarious activities can continue to go on behind the scenes? Now, I'm looking over here in the comments and I see somebody who posted that this is what's happening in Haiti the same way. And I'm going to tell you what, there was once a time where we in the United States used to look around the world and say, oh, how sad it is that the people of Haiti have to live under a regime that does not treat people fairly, where corruption runs high. Now, I have a close personal tie to Haiti because I have two friends, Dr. Richard Pressberry and his wife, who have a foundation called Hope for Caribbean Kids. And they go down every year to help the communities in Haiti, rebuilding schools, to build a church. They built a school and they built a church, and they're helping the situation in Haiti because they live in a system that is corrupt, where the leaders are not responsible with the people's money. So we used to live in a time where we in the United States would look around the world at corrupt regimes and we would feel sorry for them. But now we live in a time where corruption is worse than it's ever been. Where our political system, oh, it's just so sad. Corruption is at an all-time high. And it's not just in one party. It's within the Democratic Party. It's within the Republican Party. And like I've always said, there are good Democrats out there, but the ones in control right now, these aren't your parents' Democrats. They're very corrupt. Some of these Republicans out there, these aren't your Republicans that your parents had. They're very corrupt, connected to the deep state. So now we see situations like Dolton, where we have the most outrageous things that are going on, where we don't get resolution immediately, much in the same way that resolution is brought just like that when the regular old everyday citizen runs a stop sign. Now imagine this. You go to a bank and you rob that bank, all right? You get a pile of money. You leave. They call the police, and police say, oh, well, that's pretty sad. Let us know if it happens again. Then you go back to that same bank. You rob them again the next week. You get another pile of money. They call the police. They say, oh, well, that's sad. We'll look into it. Then you rob that bank a third time. Get another bag of money. The police say, well, we're working on it. We'll investigate. Does that happen anywhere in the United States? No, it does not. Can you rob a Brinks truck when it comes through your neighborhood and then turn around and wait for them the next week when they go on that route and hit them again? No, you cannot. We citizens, the plebes who don't have political power, well, they will throw the book at us in the drop of a hat. Those rules and laws, they were made for us, and we are not allowed to break them. We can't rob the bank. We can't steal. Now, sure, you have the smash and dash culture and crazy areas like the state of California where they're letting people smash and dash. But for the most part, they don't let regular citizens break the law. But then you get these politicians who get a little bit of power. And those politicians get involved in being paid off. You see judges paid off. You see mayors and governors who get involved in kickbacks, where you have areas like New York City where you're not going to get involved in any contract work unless you agree to the pay-for-play system. Kind of like what's going on in Dolton. The majority of the contracts that are doled out in the city of Dolton or in Thornton Township, they involve kickbacks. But these politicians seem to get away with murder, abusing the very system that was put in place to protect us. And since there is so much corruption and politics plays into it, we see these politicians get away with it for extended periods of time. The mayors, the governors, they're supposed to be the honest ones. But when they get into the power and get involved in corruption, well, the police work for them. So there's nobody left to hold them to the rule of law, to law and order. And it takes a long time to root out dirty politicians who think that they are above the law. Now, in my opinion, I think that the situation in Dolton has happened because there is an expectation of corruption. In other words, since we've seen corruption in Chicago for the last complete century, we have people that run for office who have an expectation of riches, okay? They have an expectation of making tons of money by nefarious means because this is the way it has always gone on. So they get into office with that expectation and they abuse the system, and it becomes the culture of corruption. Now, here we watch the Attorney General of the state of Illinois and the governor sit back and say, well, the FBI is on this. We don't want to step on any toes, and we're sure that they're going to bring resolution to this, but we don't want to muck up the situation. Now, here we sit when we run the stop sign and the policeman pulls us over. We want the same treatment. We want the officer to say, well, I'm not going to issue a ticket just yet. We'll wait and kind of just see what happens. But that's not the way that it goes, because we have connections in politics. There are connections that we don't know about. Someone has just posted in the comments, the Delgado group, I'm sure, are the ones advising her on how to maneuver through the legal system to get all that stuff done, allegedly. Now, there's truth to that. I've been told that the Delgado group is connected to a politician who is very close with the Attorney General. These connections are there. And when you have someone who is a powerful attorney that is connected to a politician that has helped them, protected them, and allowed them to get away with things and to help them keep their seat of power, do you think that politician is going to come up against another when they share a mutual connection? No, you don't. It would take a lot of effort to be able to expose all of these crooked connections that are so just interwoven in all of politics, that when you have a person that helps another person get elected, they owe them favors. And once they get into power, they've got to pay them back. Now, here's one thing that you might not consider. A person might get into political office and they have the greatest intentions. Now, we watched Mayor Tiffany Henyard during the time that she was a trustee, and she used to bust the chops of the current mayor and expose him whenever there were improprieties. And then she came into office and was even clowning the former mayor when he turned in the truck that he was using before and it was wrecked. And so she brought that up in a meeting and said, now, we didn't get any details on this, and here's the car, it's here, and there's like $7,000 worth of damage, and was kind of insinuating that this person was not being responsible. But then what happened over time? We saw the current mayor getting involved in some of the same things that were happening before she came into office. Now, here's the interesting thing. Human nature, the way we are programmed, what is in our DNA is this. Power and money corrupts and transforms the mind. It is very difficult to get into a position of power where you have access to unlimited amounts of money, where you don't end up corrupted, because you start feeling yourself. And once you've got that power in your hands and you can do things that you couldn't do before, it changes your perception of reality. And then all of a sudden, you tend to think that you are entitled. I tell you what, a lot of people have told me, Carlton, run for governor. There was a time when I was working for the state 10 or 15 years ago, and people were telling me, Carlton, you need to run for political office. We want you to run for an executive position within the government. We want you to run for mayor of Jefferson City. We want you to run for governor. At one point, there was a ton of people telling me run for governor. I just laughed. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, that's a great compliment, but I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And the reason is because I know that what the Bible talks about in terms of what happens to human beings when they're presented with power and money, that people are corrupted. And even the most righteous and honest person can be transformed in what we perceive as evil. Power and money corrupt. And because of that, even though so many people want me to run for political offices, I would rather stay back and be the one behind the scenes doing good deeds and maybe helping other politicians who are already in power to do the right thing, to help the community, to help people find common ground so we can work together. So I'm not attracted to politics because I don't know what would happen, even though I was raised with Christian values to do right by others, to help the community and give of yourself for the betterment of society. I can't sit here and tell you that if I ran for governor and made it, or senator or something like that, I can't say for 100% assuredness that that money and power wouldn't corrupt me. So how can we expect anyone else to remain unaffected by the temptations of money and power? We see it happen all the time. Now let's get into the comments here and let's see what people have to say. We got a lot of comments. We have 203 people that are in the house today, and I would love it if you would hit that like button and tell a friend that we are on. So let's go back here. We have Mara in the house. Thank you very much for being here, Mara. And just to let you guys know, Mara has dug up some stuff that is going to just melt your face. It's so shocking. I've been very, very busy lately. I've got 5 businesses. I have so much to do, so much responsibility, and I haven't had a chance to really keep up with the Dolton Chronicles, but I'm working on it. And I promise you, you are going to enjoy what we got coming your way. So just stick with me. So thank you, Mara, for all of your hard work and for asking people to like and subscribe. All right, let's see here. Kevin Clausen says Kwame Raoul should have been the first one to investigate. Absolutely so. I think there is a connection between Kwame Raoul and the Delgado group. There's a connection between there, and that connection involves a certain Delgado attorney and another elected official. Okay? And I think that might be why we don't see this individual doing much at all. How many months has it been since the Attorney General gave the order to the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation to submit their paperwork and properly file all the information that is required by law? That happened back in February. Were there any consequences to the mayor's refusal? To the contrary, we saw her change her whole story from stating, I started this foundation to help people with counsel because my mother had counsel. Okay, started out that way. And now it's, well, I'm just the face of the thing. I mean, anybody could put a face on a foundation. I'm clickbait. So, of course, people would use my face to promote something and then changing the names that are listed on that foundation. No consequences. And that is why. Angie's DIY says, yes, Delgado. I have had confrontations too with Delgado. Really? Well, that's interesting. I'd love to hear some details on that. Isa Fornow says no, but Tiffany will be sacrificed. I'm telling you what, I do agree with that. And let me tell you this. I'm doing a piece on the FBI and the history of the FBI. Who knows the person that founded the FBI? Type it in the comments if you know who it was. The individual who at the tender age of 28 was the man who helped to start and run the FBI, continuing on to run the FBI until his death in 1972. I want to know, who knows their history out there? Now, I'm going to do a piece where I'm going to share with you what I've learned about the history of the FBI and how they operate. And I've uncovered some very interesting things. And then I'm going to tell you about how, as relates to, as Tiffany would say, as relates to Dolton and the mayor, and why things seem to be dragging out for such a long time. Jeff says the Illinois political bar is set pretty low. Yeah, I'd agree with you there. There's probably some politicians that serve on that bar that really don't have the ability to come up against the party. Okay? Now, speaking of that party, there's a convention coming up pretty soon in Chicago. And I don't think the people running that convention want the negative surrounding this situation to overshadow the convention. I've heard that nothing is going to happen before that convention goes down. and possibly even until the election happens on November 5th. Tony Joy is in the house. What's up, Tony? She says, I believe that's why it's taken so long, because every day there's something. And so many people are connected to this corruption. Oh, yeah, it's a culture of corruption. Corruption is thick in the Chicago land. It is very thick. Dwayne says, I'm thinking Tiffany's crimes may be small potatoes in Illinois, and it might be. I mean, it's just Dolton. It's just the village of Dolton in Thornton Township, which is big. I mean, what are there, 17 villages in Thornton Township? But let's compare that to the budget of Chicago, the city of Chicago. Now, can you imagine? Can you just imagine? Think back to that video I did about the tree trimming scam. Think about all the kickbacks that have allegedly taken place. These are just allegations, okay? Now think about the size of that, and then let's compare that to the size of the city of Chicago and the budget of Chicago. It's got to be small potatoes in comparison. So if the city of Chicago, which is 100 times bigger, has probably a much larger budget than the little village of Dolton or Thornton Township, if we still see corruption and kickbacks going on in the city of Chicago, and it's gone on for the past century, how long do you think it's going to take for this little bitty situation to be resolved? All right. Judge Petty is reminding you guys, Judge Petty, to please hit the like button and tick the bell. Okay. I'm going to be going live more often. I got real busy for a while, but you're going to see me going live a couple times a week, and we're going to keep up to date, and I will have special presentations just like this one. I'll let you know what the topic is. I'll give you the presentation, and then we will discuss. All right. And if you would like to help support the channel with the giving of a super thanks, please do so. And I thank you in advance for your support. Okay, so I'm going to be working towards that because I have invested a lot into this channel. I just did a big computer upgrade. I had to put $800 down to upgrade the computer and have a monthly operating cost of about $300 to $400 for all of the subscriptions and everything else. And so I want to work for you. I want to be your entertainment. I want to dig up and research and keep you in the know on politics and in general, and especially in the Chicago area. So keep that in mind. I would appreciate your support. All right, moving on along. We got Angie's DIY that says Delgado spells their firm's name with 3 or 4 different ways. Well, that's interesting. I bet you there's a reason behind that. Jimmy DeMeyer says, what's up, brother? Love the topics and discussions from Cape Breton, Canada. It's good to have Canada in the house. I got a lot of viewers from Canada. Oh, Canada, my home, my native land. I love the Canadian national anthem. It's pretty cool. Kara Wilson is in the house. Hello, my friend. Big round of applause to Kara. Good to see you, Kara. I'm so glad that you are still with me here today. I really appreciate you being here. Okay, who else do we have? Steve is here. Hello, Steve. What's happening? Angie says, the House Speaker, Chris Welsh of Westchester. You know, I've heard a couple stories. I've heard some comments about the House Speaker and some rather nefarious things that are going on. Yeah. There's definitely some stuff that we need to dig in and research on that note. Still, Sarah says, rather than money itself, the love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, money is not the root. Money is just a system of exchange of value, okay? A lot of people chase money, but you know what it really is? It's value. When you provide value and put value into society, money is just the scorekeeper, okay? That's just a way that we track value. Money doesn't do anything, and money has no value because our government prints money, all right? We have a certain conflict going on over in the Eastern Bloc that the United States has printed $200 billion for. Money that didn't exist before, yet they print it and pay for the munitions that support the conflict. And then guess what? Because of all that money flooding into the system, grocery prices go up, gas prices go up, your rent goes up, your electric bill goes up, and we pay for it. So that's why we know that money does not have the value, all right? We need to keep our minds on providing values to the community rather than trying to chase after money. I'm going to do a whole video on that very soon, where I'm going to explain to you how money doesn't really exist. The whole scam of the Federal Reserve, all right? In 1913, we had a big change in the United States, and then there was another major change in 1972. Things have never been the same ever since then. Okay, we got a couple people, 3 people, 4 people that answered the trivia question. That is correct. First Lady Brown, you got it. Still Sarah, you got it. Minion with opinion, hello. Steve Strack, you got it. It is J. Edgar Hoover. Monda Martin, also J. Edgar Hoover. Yes, that is correct. Angie's DIY said J. Edgar Hoover. When I do this piece on the history of J. Edgar Hoover, oh boy, wait till you see it. We have more people that answered correctly. Mojo Blue Magic says Hoover. Kara Wilson got it right. Oldie but goodie, Hoover. Yes, Issa Fornow, J. Edgar Hoover. MS Kemet, J. Edgar Hoover. Now, some people might think that J. Edgar Hoover was a president. J. Edgar Hoover was not a president. That would be Herbert Hoover. That's the Mandela effect. J. Edgar Hoover had no interest in being the president of the United States. In fact, as you will learn on this video that I do, the powers that be asked J. Edgar Hoover to run, said, hey, we want to back you for president. We will give you an unlimited budget. You deserve it. The people deserve it. You have the experience, and we don't care what party you run on. We got your back. What was J. Edgar Hoover's response? No thanks. Why? It's because J. Edgar Hoover had more power than a president of the United States, and that would have been a demotion. J. Edgar Hoover had more power than anybody in the entire world as the head of the FBI. Karen Blue says, we are hoping one day we will turn on YouTube and there will be an APB, yeah, for Tiffany Henyard in the administration in both places, and her counsel has been arrested, no doubt. Oh my goodness. Kara says, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Kara. Tell them. All right, Judge Petty says the Democratic National Convention, summer 2024, is the event. Yep. And that's one thing that is holding up the progress of bringing this to justice. Hey, I got another trivia question for you. What 3-letter agency was birthed from the FBI? Post it in the comments. Let's see who can say what it is. What 3-letter agency was birthed from the FBI, and what was the year? And then tell me, was this new 3-letter agency under the guidance or rulership of the FBI, or was it not? And then tell me what famous individual who later on went on to be the president of the United States, who was formerly the director of this 3-letter agency that came forth after the FBI. All right, let's see what else we have here. Issa Forno says she would have had a bigger detail in her own Bentley truck. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if she was the mayor of Chicago, no doubt, she would be going completely bananas. Angie says Delgado without an L. Delgado, spelled as one word, Delgaldo with an L, and Delgaldo spelled as one word. I noticed that, Angie. I noticed that. Huh. I thought people were just misspelling it, but that's done on purpose. That's very interesting. Oldie but goodie, thank you very much. Oldie but goodie has dropped a 5-bomb. Dropped the 5-bomb on my head. I appreciate you, oldie but goodie. And for right now, you are the stream king. You are the chief of the stream today with the highest donation, the highest and the only donation. So thank you, everybody. Bow to your great king, or are you a queen? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but thank you very much to member Oldie But Goodie. Not only just dropping that 5-bomb on my head, but Oldie But Goodie is a member. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Judge Petty, I'm pretty surprised about that. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Kathy Field says, justice for Alexa Wilson. I'm going to give that a yay! I agree. Thank you for stating that. And I'm praying and believing that that justice is going to come one day. I'm not giving up on that. All right. Random advice in the house, dropping a 5-bomb on my head. Now we have a dual leadership. We have 2 stream kings. All right. Random advice jumps in to share the rulership at the tip top of the stream. Thank you very much for that support. Okay, so we have some good guesses here, but that's not the one. We have ATF. Now, I could be wrong, but the one I'm thinking of came before the ATF. Okay, so we had Carefree and First Lady Brown saying ATF. We had Lady Diva Love for Kel saying ATF, but that's not the one. Linda Knoll, you actually answered correctly with your answer as the person who was the head of the next agency, the 3-letter agency, who went on to become the president of the United States. And this individual could possibly be connected to the assassination of another president. I'll just leave that there. Danny said I froze. Did I freeze? Hopefully we're still good. All right. Kevin Clausen says, random advice. Yeah, but Tiffany has so many things going on that her investigation is going to take longer. And it will. Here's another reason. Let me give you some insight, guys. There's a lot that is going on with this investigation. It's not just an investigation of Tiffany Henyard, but there are a lot of people, family members, friends, people who are in the administration that are getting investigated. Some of those subpoenas were asking for information from employees, not just the mayor. And we also have a lot of people that have done contract work with the village of Dolton and Thornton Township who could be receiving kickbacks and could be falling under investigation also. Now, that's just my theory is what could cause this to be going on. All right, Monda Martin has correctly answered my trivia question. It was George Bush and the CIA. Yes, the Central Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency was birthed from the FBI. And it was not under the control of the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover was not happy about not being able to control the CIA. Now, what's the difference between the CIA and the FBI? Well, I'll tell you. The FBI is the Federal Bureau of Investigations. The CIA is the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States and handles international espionage. All right? That is the difference between the two. Okay, Buck Baby has dropped a 2-bomb on my head. Thank you very much for that 2-bomb. I appreciate you, Buck Baby. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. There was an automatic message here. It says, let's celebrate their 5th super on the live stream. That's the 5th one. That's cool. Okay, moving right along. Let's see, what else do we have here? CIA from Oldie But Goodie. Yes, that is correct. Norm Middleton also said CIA. And Kevin Clausen has dropped a 5-bomb on my head. Thank you very much, Kevin Clausen. We have 3 people at the top of the stream. Bow to your stream kings. And Carefree, we got Carefree in the house dropping a 5-bomb. There you go. You go. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, Lady Diva, CIA is right. Angie said, could it be CIA from Operation Paperclip? I'm going to look into that, and yes, that could be. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's read on. What is the profile picture? She wants to know what Judge Petty's profile picture. That's actually Judge Petty. Monda Martin says the Central Intelligence Agency, a contradiction in terms. Yeah, you got that right. Now, it is said, people, it is said that the CIA has more power than the three branches of the government. Why is that? Well, it's because the charge of the CIA is to uncover threats and potential problems, threats to the United States before they become a problem, okay? And after the FBI was founded, and when you learn what I'm going to teach you when I do my deep dive into the history of the FBI, you're going to learn about what the CIA does that really violates all of our privacy. And there was an event that happened in our history where two big buildings were basically unalived. They were unconstructed, and there was a bill that passed that erased all of our privacy. Okay? All right. Carlos Waters says, this is Carlos. ¿Qué está pasando, Carlos? Me llamo en español, me llamo Carlos too, okay? Carlos is the Spanish way to say Carlton or Carl. He says, I want to know, is Tiffany going to jail and does she deserve it? Well, all I can say is this. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but my prediction comes from an event that happened in history. Another mayor, I want you to look it up. There was a certain mayor of a certain city that I have roots in. It's where my mother was born and raised, and that would be Detroit. We had a mayor by the name of Kwame Kilpatrick, and if you watch the story of Kwame Kilpatrick, you will see several similarities to things that went on, very similar to what we are seeing in Dolton. And Kwame Kilpatrick ended up in jail with a 13-year sentence. He served hard jail time, all right? And I'm thinking that based on what we saw that happened with Kwame Kilpatrick, it's possible that we could see something happen like that in Dolton, all right? Only because we saw a politician that was taken down, that was convicted, and served real jail time. All right, Choose Compassion says, how far are we going back? The FBI originated from a force of special agents created in 1908 by Attorney General Charles Bonaparte. You know what? That is correct, but I went forward a little bit beyond that. And I think when J. Edgar Hoover was 28 years old and he was appointed, that was where the FBI really got its start. But I will dig into that. Thank you, Choose Compassion. I'm going to look into that. Now, those special agents were called the G-Men. Does anybody remember that growing up, how we had cartoons and shows that featured the G-Men with their little suits and their gangster hats and their submachine guns? Carefree said Bush, 41. That was Bush Jr., right? And 41 was Bush Jr. Okay. Number 41 was connected to that situation with the buildings. And I'm going to tell you what, if any of you all watch Billy Carson, here's a video expose that he did that I need to share with you guys that it's just shocking. I've followed that situation and done a lot of research. And there's some things that Billy came out and he said that can't even be discussed on YouTube because it would get him shut down. All right, Monda Martin says, Kwame Kilpatrick, I know him. Wow. Holy smokes. Choose Compassion says, if Tiffany goes to jail, will she be sitting next to Riley Rogers? That's possible. Kwame Kilpatrick had a message for Tiffany specifically. I think I heard that. Yeah, I did hear about that. I did hear about that. All right, so hit that like button if you have not done it yet. We have 186 people who are here in the chat today, and we are learning about history. You know, history is important, guys. We tend to forget history. For me, I'm 56 years old. It's been a long time since I've been in high school or college and studying history. One specific history class I had in college covered the Vietnam War. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities between that and the conflicts that we have going on today. And I'm going to tell you what. I hope we don't have a situation. I know that the Congress passed a bill where they want to draft women. What do y'all think about that? Type a big no in capital letters if you don't think it's a good idea for us to draft women between the ages of 18 and 26 in addition to our young men. If you're against that, type a big no in caps. I'm very troubled by even the discussion going on that we think it's necessary to draft women. When you study the rise and the fall of nations, there is a cycle that we go through. We are almost nearing a stupid cycle where we're going to get real stupid if we think that we can draft women. If we're drafting women and putting them in war situations, who's going to birth the children that we need to grow the population in the United States? Carlos Waters says, is it the CIA? Yes, it was. Choose Compassion says, I've been listening to Billy Carson. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Billy is amazing, isn't he? He is something else. Did you see that video, Choose Compassion? Let me know if you saw that video presentation that he did about the buildings and about the information that was being stored in those buildings and also at the Pentagon that were evaporated, eviscerated, incinerated. It's interesting that those papers were gotten rid of. I'll just leave it at that. All right, so Judge Petty says it was Anton Daniels. I'll grab the clip and show you. Thank you. Yeah, share that with me, please. That is very interesting. Carefree says 70% marriage rate during the civil rights movement fell significantly after 1970. Yes, it has. It's disgustingly low right now. For whatever reason, we're kind of devolving when it comes to family values and people sticking it together, having a traditional home where the mother and the father are in the home. Minion with Opinion says we are in the corruption era. You better believe it. Okay, Carefree says no. Choose Compassion says no. Tony Joy says no. Linda no. Minion, no. Thank you very much. Oldie but goodie says no. Angie says no. Lady Diva says no, and hell no. Gabriella Prevel says no. Thank you very much. That's good to know that we are on the same page as far as that's concerned. It's a bad move. It's a very bad move, and it troubles me and is very concerning. Now, I don't want to see women drafted, and I don't want to see any of our young men going somewhere so far away to be put in harm's way. I just hope we think this through because we're headed towards territory that we don't need to be in. And I can do a video if you'd like to know. I'm going to give you a little history on that whole conflict and how we're being gaslit. Okay? We're being told if we don't stop that aggression, it's going to run through Europe. We are being gaslit, guys. It's not good, okay? And we need to come together and say peace is the only way, all right? All right? Our politicians are getting a little out of control, and it's the money machine that is behind this, and we need to be loud and speak up against it, okay? No matter what the political party that you support, we need to say no when it comes to that. Judge Petty says, oh my goodness. So Gonzalez's name is still not on there. Carmen's name is on there, but no longer her picture and description like everyone else has. Wow. Talk about Tiffany being petty. Oh, okay. So she's removing the pictures of the Thornton Township trustees who have gone against her. Ugh. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. Choose Compassion said, I saw the video. Was it not shocking? When my father-in-law was still living, after that whole event happened, he was telling me what really went on, and I didn't believe it. And then he shared with me a DVD that covered how buildings are demolished and a lot of other evidence, and I was shocked. And I was like, oh my goodness, my father-in-law was right. And he was a ballistics engineer, so he knew, okay? He was such a wise man. And ever since then, I'm like, wow, I've looked into this and I'm convinced that it was all an inside job. And the purpose was to get rid of some documents that needed to be gotten rid of and also to usher in the act that took away our rights to privacy. Things have really changed since then. All right, we have more people saying no. Shelly Husky says no. Thelma Maz, is that how you say it? Says no. Thank you very much for standing strong on that. And Choose Compassion says young men should not be drafted. Not for that. I'll tell you what, we don't need a draft. If anything, we need to stay right here and guard our land, okay? We've got bases all over the world. There's like 75 bases all over the world. Why don't we just stand our ground and mind our own business and stop meddling in international affairs and starting stuff. There's a reason why we start stuff. It's because a certain situation that is the opposite of peace, it's very profitable, okay? And because of that, we want to instigate things that start conflicts that don't have resolution. Think back to Vietnam. Did Vietnam get resolved? No, it didn't. Why did we not push past the 38th parallel? Why didn't we complete the mission? They didn't want to complete the mission. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to keep the machine chugging and to keep spending the money. Tony Joy says, choose compassion. I agree. Hey, member Red Iceberg is in the house. What's up, Iceberg?
Yay!
Good to have you here. Glad to see you. Red Iceberg is a member, and you see that little blue star. You can have one too if you support the channel. It's only $2.99 a month. All right, Gary makes a good point. If we forget our history or not teaching it, we're doomed to repeat it. It's so true. We need to study history. We need to study it. And our younger generations, there's so much that they don't know, that they just have no idea. If you ask young people if J. Edgar Hoover was a president, a lot of them are probably going to say yes. They don't even know. Choose Compassion says, Billy Carson, Phil Valentine, R.I.P., brother, panic. Wow. Okay, so Minion says, I wonder, isn't that retaliation? Yeah, that's retaliation. It is definitely retaliation. What's in the pyramid is wild, says Choose Compassion. If you're talking about the dollar bill, you are right. There's symbolism on there that is hiding in plain view of everyone. Carefree, what you said was correct. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. And then when you see a series of boom, 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 boom coming straight down the line, you see a classic demolition. Classic. Something else that Billy Carson brought up was the fact that the individuals who were the pilots only had like 5 months training in a simulator. They couldn't have flown those planes and doing the evasive maneuvers that were necessary in order to have such a precise target to arrive at the exact point of those buildings. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get myself shadow banned. YouTube doesn't like people talking about that stuff. Choose Compassion says, one should consider left wing and right wing are part of the same bird. Yeah, they are. All right, let me open y'all's eyes to something. I got a buddy, my buddy Mitchell, who thinks that the deep state is all conspiracy. And to that, I disagree. The deep state is a real thing. You know, deep state is a buzzword. But let me tell you something. The deep state is a way of describing the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the power it has to violate the privacy of people, okay? The CIA, the FBI, they've got dirt on everybody. And when I do my presentation on J. Edgar Hoover, you're going to be shocked. There's some stories in there you'd be like, wow. And so with the power that comes with having dirt on people, these agencies are able to run the world, okay? So the deep state is just another word describing the unmitigated power that the CIA has, okay? So we have the political parties and everybody divides themselves between Democrat and Republican. That's not the real fight. Sorry, guys. The real fight is between the people who believe in democracy, a representative republic, and freedom, and the people who are involved in the deep state that want to remain in control and think that everyone should be told what to do and that there shouldn't be a middle class. It should be the rich that have all the money and then all the plebes. There's Republicans that are involved in the deep state. There are Republicans that are not. There are Democrats that are involved in the deep state. There are Democrats who are not. And I'm going to tell you something. This election is very important. And yeah, I talk about Trump a lot, and some people unsubscribe as soon as they hear me talking about Trump or going off on Democrats. But let me tell you something. Democrats, you do have a choice. There is a person who is a Democrat that is not involved in the deep state. And his name is Robert F. Kennedy. There are people running in this election that are not involved in the deep state, but rather exposing the deep state. Choose Compassion says, I'm talking about under the, okay, yeah. I have watched those videos about the pyramids in Egypt, and it's fascinating. And to think that thousands of years ago that we had power distribution, much in the same way that we had the Tesla coil and wireless power, and like having Wi-Fi where your devices connect to Wi-Fi, you had power distribution way back then where you could transmit electrical power. And it's not conspiracy, because Tesla proved it right. Tesla proved that you can transmit power from a Tesla coil using the ground, the earth as ground, and you could send power to light up lights. You could light up entire cities with no wires. Okay. And it's fascinating to study the Bible and the Ark of the Covenant and to find out what that Ark of the Covenant really did. Okay. Look into that. You can look up Billy Carson and watch some of those videos and see the science behind it. I'm a scientist and a realist. I don't get into conspiracy. So things that, I study, it's based on science, not fiction. Okay. So, Minion said, why did it just dawn on me that Judge Petty is probably not a real judge? She's a judge. She's a good judge of character. Okay. Monda Martin says, Democrat and Republican are two fangs in the same snake. And yes, it is. Angie says, autocracy versus democracy. Absolutely right. Gary says, see, you even mentioned the buildings. And Kevin Clausen says, I have a conflicting opinion on the basis we have around the world. It shows our commitment to our allies and helps deter against opponents. It might be an old thought, but we don't want another Hitler. And that's true. That is true. I'm conflicted about it too. But I think that there is no argument where we instigate proxy wars. I'm against that. I'm against instigating conflicts just for the sole purpose of feeding the money machine. In other words, the defense contractors that make a ton of money. Buck Baby 5 member says they're probably trying to draft women because there's not enough babies being born. You know what? We have 70,000 people in reserves and should have 5, 6, 700,000. So if they want to start something, we're not in a good position to start a conflict right now. And I think that they want to add girls into the draft because they know that we don't have enough bodies to throw into a conflict, and they want a conflict. They want to send our kids into battle, okay, over something that is politically motivated. And I'm against that. And if we send women into battle, the population is going to go down. Now, one reason why we see this situation where we are allowing millions and millions of people flooding into the country, it's because we have to have population growth, okay? And while they are allowing millions of people to come in, that explains them wanting to draft women because we don't have enough in the military. Let's see. Moving right along. Everbee said CIA. Yes, that was the answer to the question. Monda Martin said Robert F. Kennedy went to a black barbershop and chopped it up. That's cool. I meant to look that up. I like Robert Kennedy. Minion says, sheesh, Carlton, I wasn't ready for all the knowledge today. Yeah, I'm dropping some knowledge bombs on your head. Yes, indeed. I got a lot of that. And if you're into that, I love sharing history, facts about history, and connecting the DOTTS. Judge Petty said that, no, I'm not a judge, but I'm just judgmental and petty. Oh, Judge Petty is a good judge of character, though. All right. Yeah, Minion, you need to go back and watch all the old videos. If you haven't seen all of the Dolton Chronicles, you need to go back and dig in. I have a lot of what you would call evergreen content. In other words, it's not breaking news stuff. It's stuff that will always be a good listen, okay? You can watch this stuff. The Dolton Chronicles will always be, even if Tiffany Henyard doesn't win re-election or goes to jail, the Dolton Chronicles is going to go on because it's entertaining. It's a drama series that we will be able to forever enjoy as we connect all the dots of what went on to what we know today. Now, Kevin says, did you ever see the fictional movie Tomorrow War? No, I haven't. I'll have to check that out. Now, did you see, what was the name of that crazy movie that the Obamas did where we had the E-bomb that went off, electricity goes out on all the grids? That movie pissed me off. It was troubling and it was upsetting. And I tell you what, I don't like the fact that they made that movie because it kind of says that this is kind of where they want to see things go. What is up? Caroline is in the house. Yay! She is here. Everybody go and like and subscribe to Caroline's channel, please. I'm going to have Caroline come on soon, and I'm going to come on her channel pretty soon so we can discuss the matters of the day. Glad to have you, Caroline. I was in Caroline's neighborhood last week when I went to Ohio to paint my mother's house. When I went through Chicago, I had the live stream. I wanted to go live again that night, and I got back to my brother-in-law's house. It was like 1 a.m., so I didn't have a chance to go live. Let's see. Choose Compassion says, I love history. Red Iceberg says, I'm loving it like McDonald's. Caroline says, choose love. I agree so much. Now, Angie says, the migrant crisis is for population growth in crucial areas, for more legislative districts that lost residents during the pandemic. So true. And, you know, it's interesting. Why is it so easy to come to this country illegally? But for people who are doing it by legal means, it takes them 10 years and tens of thousands of dollars of attorney's fees. Explain that to me, please. How is it that you can come here and you fight for years to get naturalized and you get deported? I had a friend that owned a business and was deported, okay? But we have people coming here illegally who can become police officers in Chicago as illegal immigrants. Don't make no sense. Caroline says, yeah, that movie was stupid as hell. She says, I agree. It was terrible. I did not like that movie, and it was intended to scare people. It's fear. I mentioned that in the presentation. Remember? Fear. Politicians use fear to control people and to continue with their debauchery. You know, Mark Zuckerberg has this big, huge subterranean bunker, just like what we saw in that Obama movie. How fair is it that billionaires like Zuckerberg can sit there and have their multi-million-dollar bunkers, but we have to live above ground and we have to suffer the consequences of the mess that the politicians start? What sense does that make? I'm going to tell you what, ain't nobody got any business voting for sleepy Joe Biden with what he is doing right now. If you don't want to see a WAR and young people losing their lives, if you don't want to see NUCLEAR, WARHEADS landing here and causing fallout, okay? It's very ugly what happens when you have those type of things that go boom. Uranium-238 destabilized will make you very, very sick. And it is a very real threat. And I think that we have to stand up and say no. And this is not Democrat versus Republican, because like I said, there is a responsible Democrat who is there who will put an end to this, but ain't nobody got any business voting for people that want to push us into this conflict that we don't need to have. We don't need to have it. Oh, Denver Airport. Yeah. Big bunker there. Big bunker there. Angie says, leave the world behind is classic projection. Yep. Accuse the opposition of what you're doing. Yeah, that's a tactic. The music is loud of what? Music? There's no music. Does somebody have music? Let me turn up my thing here. I didn't think I had music in the background. The music is loud of what? Huh. You sure that music isn't playing in your head? Okay, Steve Strack says that movie reminded me of the China Syndrome, then the 3 Mile Island incident that happened shortly after it came out. Yep, thank you, Steve. George, that's a good one. That kind of does. Fast forward a little. Yeah, the music at the beginning that I had in the background, that was kind of set too loud. I need to turn that down. Thank you very much for letting me know. Let's see here. Multiple browser tabs. Can't hear anything. Yeah, I hope I don't have music playing in another browser tab. Oh, okay. She had it on fast forward. Okay. Now, Monda says, I just heard Ukraine has, yeah, I think they do. I hope that those things, the NUCLEAR missiles, don't get used. That's just a sad, sick, and disgusting thing. And like I said, again, you better watch out who you're voting for, because there's certain individuals that want that to happen. You know, there's some sick individuals, think WEF, who are afraid of world population going too high, and they want to thin out the population by using those things and using, we'll call it bugs. We'll say bugs because we can't call it what it is. They want to use bugs and BOMBS to thin the population. Diana Osborne says, if you believe the Bible is right, it was written. And, you know, there's a lot of things in the book of Revelation. I've studied the Bible down to the Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew. I've broken down the book of Revelation. I know the 3 theories, the post-trib, pre-trib, mid-tribulational theories. There's a lot there that we can match to things that have happened or things that have not happened. And it's hard to stay, you know, are we living in the end times? I'm 56, and I've been hearing we're living in the end times since I was in grade school. In fact, I can't tell you how many times that I've heard ministers use scriptures to say that the world was supposed to end. Many times up until now, at least 10 or 15 times. We've had the 5 blood moons thing. We've had so many stuff that was predicted that hasn't come to pass. But the Bible does speak about things that we see that are happening today, okay? Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Kevin says, I don't like Trump either. Wish we had a third option. And, you know, I'll tell you what, Trump is a classic narcissist. Some of the stuff he says is just so crazy, just so wild. And he feeds on the adoration. But, you know, as much of a classic narcissist as that he is, he's not a part of the deep state. Okay, he's not for all of that. And unfortunately, he is probably the only person that is running that has the electability that might put a stop to the conflicts that are coming our way. Okay, and that's why I lean in that direction, but that by no means is an excuse for his reprehensible behavior. Let's see here. Judge Petty says, Caroline, in case you didn't know, I don't know how long you've been here. It's Mara changing her name. Oh, yeah. By the way, Caroline, Judge Petty is Mara. That is fantastic assistant Mara, who does the incredible research work for the Dolton Chronicles, does such a fantastic job. Chris Humphrey says, my religious views are rhythm and blues, and my political views are harmony and melody. I like that. I'm going to give you a... Yay! I agree. I like love and harmony. Angie says, I have to say, I don't like Trump, but I don't look at personality. I look at policy, not personality. And yeah, he has a grating kind of personality, rubs my wife the wrong way. She really does not like Trump. Makes her sick to her stomach. But she also doesn't want to see, okay, we've got our 2 youngest, we've got a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old that we don't want to see drafted and sent halfway around the world for something that we don't believe in, okay? And so she's thinking maybe this is the person that can stop that, even though that this individual she despises as far as personality. And again, it's interesting where I'll do videos that are not on the Dolton topic, and I get people unsubscribing if I mention anything about politics, and it's interesting. And I guess you got to expect that to happen. I'll do a Dolton video and I'll pick up 100 subs, 200 subs. I cover other political stuff and 3, 4, 5 people slip out the back door. But I want to let you all know that even though we do talk politics, we can talk about what we have in common. We do have common ground. We've got Democrats here and Republicans here. But what I found today, that what we do have in common is that most of us are against sending young ladies to the draft. We all agree that we want world peace. We agree with that. We have common ground there. Now, Paula says Trump is not a narcissist. He's just truthful. Now, I disagree with that. I think he definitely is a narcissist, but I do agree with you. He is truthful. He is entertaining to me, but he has a lot of narcissistic personality traits. But I'm a supporter of Trump. I'm going to be voting for Trump because I'm sick of what the Democrats are doing to the black community. I'm sick of watching them spend $200 billion on a conflict and nothing on the black community. I'm sick of watching them pay billions of dollars for an influx of illegals while they let our homeless veterans sit and suffer. I'm tired of that. And so one thing I like about Trump is that he is for supporting the black community and supporting our veterans. Why every 4 years they need the black vote? Why does our vote mean so much? It's because it swings elections, Diane. It swings elections. And today we're seeing 22% of the black population that's going for Trump. That's going to swing the election. There's a lot of people like in South Chicago who are tired of the pandering to illegals who've said, we're sick of this and we're going to paint this city red. Now, Chicago's not going to turn Republican, but that is an indication of something of a phenomenon of it's a swing in demographics. It used to be that only 9 or 10% of blacks would support Republicans, but we're sitting at 22% now. That's going to change things. Okay. That is significant. It's very significant. Phoenix. Hello. Phoenix is in the house. Hello, Phoenix.
Yay!
Good to see you here today. Kevin says, I agree with that. Women can choose to fight, but don't draft them. Yeah. Now, every woman has a right to want to do whatever, to participate in the military. It could be in the front lines, or it could be in intelligence. It could be in management, in engineering, in electronics, or whatever. My aunt was career Navy. She's an electrician. She spent her entire career in the U.S. Navy, and she volunteered for that. Okay. But she was not drafted. We wouldn't be in this position if 2020 went another way. I'll agree with that. J9Z says, I'm voting for a felon this year, 100%. And that's another interesting topic, guys. Let me tell you something. What we're seeing happen with this felony thing, it was a strategy by the powers that be where they thought if we can throw some felonies on this man, people will not support him. They'll say, oh, well, he's a felon, so we shouldn't vote for him. I hate to tell you this, but these felony convictions are unfounded. They could put a felony on you and make up stuff. It's just like when a person gets pulled over and they plant drugs in their trunk and they arrest them and jail them. It happens. Just because you get a felony conviction doesn't mean that it was based in truth. And I'll be able to provide you with plenty of videos on that. And if you want me to expose some of that, I will. If you're interested in me covering all of those cases that involve these felony convictions, I can do that. George says, are we going to see a Christina Peterson video from you, Carlton? Keep me on that. I can do that. I also am going to be getting into Fanny down in Atlanta. All right. Red Iceberg says, I'll be voting for Trump. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Choose Compassion says, Paula, we are not bashing him. Yeah, we're not going to bash anyone. We're not bashing Trump, and even not bashing Biden. I don't think Biden is really the one that's behind all of these nefarious things that are going on with trying to jail Trump or throw a felony on him before we can even get to the voters' box, before we can cast a ballot. Do you find it interesting that we had 4 years to come up with all of these so-called felonies, but they didn't get the ball rolling until he said, I'm running for president? Kind of makes you go, Okay, Judge Petty says, we can all express opinions and feelings with respect and dignity. Doesn't mean that we have to agree. And that is true. We're just discussing, and we don't get into name calling. Like, I don't do drama. You know, some other channels, you get people cussing and fussing. I don't do cursing. We try to keep it clean in the comments. And I tell you what, we have a great community. We're going to build a great community based on that. So thank you, Mira, for saying that. We're all just discussing, and we're trying to find common ground. We're just discussing issues because I can be corrected and you can disagree with me, and I'll listen to you. I definitely will. Choose Compassion says, if we take the quiz, are you a Democrat or Republican? Your own answers may surprise you. I need to put up another ballot on the community tab to get a pulse on who we're voting for. I'm glad you said that because I haven't put up a poll for a while. Let's see. What else do we have here? Joe M says, is it better to die on your feet rather than go on living on your knees? Good point. That is a good point. Yeah, we cannot sacrifice our future mothers to the potential horrors of war. Never. I so agree. That is so true. Thank you very much. Joe M says Mira agrees with what Joe said. That's a very good point. Dick Gregory said, if America will do this to our own mother, what do you think they will do to you? Very true. That's a good point. Kevin says, I would definitely be interested in that because I think Trump is guilty based on his recent court case. I would love to hear the argument otherwise. I will do that then. I'll cover that, Kevin. And, you know, like I said, I do think Trump is a narcissist, and I do think, okay, he might be guilty of certain things, but they're not felonies. Now, the hush money case is a prime example. That's not a felony. Now, did he have an affair on his wife? Yeah, he did. Did he try to cover it up so it wouldn't be a political smear thing? Yes, he did, but it wasn't illegal. People have affairs. That doesn't mean that it's a felony. And it wasn't an abuse of campaign funds either. And at no point in history have we ever had a person accused of a felony in that same way. It's not a felony. They're only trying to make that a felony so they can knock him out before the election. All right? Let's see. Minion with Opinion says, I like how he doesn't beat to their drum and he calls out the BS. Well, yeah, he does do that a lot. What else do we have? Poopy Pants Brandon. President Biden doesn't know what's going on, and it's sad. I think he's at an advanced age where he's not fit to be the president. I do not think. And isn't it interesting how the White House press secretary said that the videos showing Biden bumbling around, instead of calling it deep fake, they called it cheap fake. They made up a word that sounds like deep fake, but it's not. So they're trying to make you think they're saying deep fake. In other words, that the videos are AI and they're not real, but they're saying cheap fake. They created a word to spin this. That's rotten. That's not being honest. Okay. I like that, Chris Humphreys. I have a dream. The children one day will live in a nation where they will not be judged for the color of the skin but the content of their character. Yes, I so agree. Some of the DEI that we're seeing doesn't agree with that vision that Martin Luther King had. And I'm going to do a video on that too. If we stop listening, we stop learning. Amen to that. Monda Martin says, Tiffany always tells the board, we're going to continue this game. I will see y'all next month. It just shows how confident she is because Mike Delgado isn't representing her, but the firm still is. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Lola says, Tiffany is going to be the subject of so many different types of case studies like psychology, financially, long-term effects on the community that will probably be many books and documentaries. Yes, there will be. Yes, there will be. What's up, John Luna says hello, everyone into the chat. That is John, the member.
Yay!
The member. You can be a member too and get your blue star and support the channel. It's only $2.99. That's it. That is all, guys. Carefree says, I have a dream the Democratic Party will judge someone based on their intelligence instead of their skin color. Yeah, sadly, I think there's too much emphasis on DEI right now, and we're getting the wrong people put on the forefront. That is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, look at this. We've got a new stream queen. M. Mare has dropped a 10 bomb on my head. Let's give a round of applause for the new stream queen. We have a new queen. She has decided to put an end to this $5 rulership. And she's coming in with the 10 bomb saying, step aside, everybody. We thank you for your super chats, but I am the new stream queen. M. Marie. She ain't playing around. She ain't playing. Okay? She is the stream queen. Thank you for supporting the channel, M. Marie. All right. Oh, look at that. Big round of applause. We have Phoenix, who is a new supporter, a new member. Phoenix has decided that she's going to have a star upon theirs. That is fantastic, Phoenix. You are supporting a good cause, all right? And this ain't no hush money. This is go political money. And you are supporting the channel so I can keep running my mouth. Hush money, we're also... All right, so thank you again, Phoenix, for joining and getting your star upon theirs. You know, that's from the Sneetches that I say that. They have stars upon theirs. So she joins the Sneetch crew who has the stars. Mona Martin says, but who is paying for Henyard's attorney? I don't know. It better be out of her paychecks. I can guarantee you that it is not out of her paycheck. No, it definitely is not. She's spending money some kind of way. She's cheating and stealing. And I would like to know how she continues to owe $900,000 to the Delgado Group. And now she's got new attorneys that are defending this madness. I don't get it. I don't get it. So Judge Petty says no tax dollars are paying for Tiffany's attorney. No, tax dollars are being used to pay. Yeah, I said that wrong. So anyhow, yes, it's the people's money, it's taxpayers' money that are supporting her. Patriot Chick says she's using the firefighters' funds. Yeah, that money is coming from somewhere, and she's abusing those funds that should be used for something else. All right, Mara says last night she did a live at the rink. Really? Oh boy. Saying all these people will be at the club, at the bar. Look what I did. Y'all had them with their kids, spending their time together, bringing families together. That's probably how she said it. Is that how she said it? I bet it is, as it relates to how the mayor actually talks. As relates to, we got to get that soundboard. We had plans on making a Henyard soundboard. We need to get that back going again. Wisdom is knowledge and motion. I agree, Patriot Chick. That is very true. Thank you. I've been working on my Tiffany accent. Okay. It takes a lot of practice as relates to getting the true nature of how you talk when you're from the hood. As relates to that, it takes a lot of practice. Okay. Because, you know, they got to do their research. They got to do their proper research in order to know as it relates to how we speak from the hood. Phoenix says, hopefully the FBI had requested her personal statements. They probably did. I bet it shows that she used none of her own money. No, we know she didn't use any of her own money. She's pulling over $300,000 a year, but she's using the taxpayer funds for all of the goodies that she's getting. She probably has millions in her personal accounts. Oh, I bet so. Bobby D says, what's going on with the funds she was using for the extravagant haircuts? Yeah, I'm thinking at least $100,000 has been spent from Thornton Township to date for that bald head. Yeah, for the bald head and that fantastic lace front wig. Gwen Burge says Tahoe Tiff needs to pay for her own lawsuits and her friends and cousins need to pay for theirs. And that's true, you know, and we're not, that's not a false allegation or anything. And that's not a smear campaign because we know that you're not spending your own money, Mayor Henyard, on those things that you should be. We know it's not coming out of your pocket. That's fact. That is fact. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got a lot of one-liners that I love to repeat as relates to her vocabulary. So she assumes those residents would be at her club. Wow, how demeaning. That's interesting. Monica Ortiz says, I'm German and I don't want another Hitler either. Yeah, that's not something that we want to see. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Gwen says, I'm still crying on how Tahoe Tiff and Lacey treated that child on Easter. Yeah, that was a very disgusting and sad situation while she brags about being the super mayor and the people's mayor. Whenever she says, I'm the people's mayor, that sounds like a dictator of a fascist country, a communist country, the people's mayor. It's so dumb. She doesn't know her history and know that making statements like that makes you sound like a dictator. Alization. Yes, alizations. I guess if you kind of merge accusation with alleged, what was it? I figured out what she's meant. She's crossed two words that make alization. Is where she's getting that from. All right, so Kevin Clausen, MS Thelma actually shared in the Dolton Politics page who created the t-shirts. Really? Interesting. Carefree says, in my next Tiffany Henyard voice, you what the subpar is, no matter how bad the consequences Dolton pays for electing me, the people running to replace me have the same red flags and don't even see it. Yeah, that's true. M. Mare drops another 2-bomb on my head. Thank you, M. Marie. I keep saying it wrong. M. Marie is a fantastic supporter. Thank you so much for your support. Choose Compassion says if she does, she will be the next to Riley, and he's at home, presumably in his undies. Yeah, that's true, but she might not be at home. She might find a new home if she keeps up with what she's doing. Gwen Burr says, we are all exhausted. Yes. No one of the trucks needs fixing $7,000. Not one of the trucks. That's interesting. Is that dealing with the maintenance? Is that what you're talking about? Monda says, no politician says I'm your leader, but in her words, y'all journalisms are catapulting her allegations. That's a good one. Yeah, and she definitely is balling out. Okay, people, I'm going to have to wrap this up. I want to thank you all for being here. I've got family in from out of town now. We're doing a late Father's Day today, so I'm going to jump on out. It's time for me to go and barbecue. Oh, Choose Compassion says, I'm from Dolton. And I can do her voice. You need to send me a video. I need to hear it. It comes out when you're angry. Holy smokes. I got to hear you say it. You need to start a YouTube channel so I can hear your voice. Cutthroat. Trying to stop me from ending this with dropping a 2-bomb on my head. Thank you very much for the 2-bomb, Cutthroat, N-A-J, Naj. I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm going to have to bring this one to a close, but I thank everybody for supporting the channel. And I also want to say again, M. Marie, we end this with her as the stream queen. Give her a round of applause. M. Marie from Indiana. M. Marie was our stream queen. And I'm going to mention that on the next live stream. So that is all for now. And you are very welcome. Choose Compassion. You're almost at 1,000 with your channel, and when you go 1,000, you're going live. Okay, choose compassion. I will check out your channel, and I will subscribe. Okay, and I'm gonna hold you to that. All right. So thank you, everyone. I'm so glad that you are all here today. And with that, this is Carlton. And let's see, I gotta flip this over here so I can do my classic little swoosh. This is Carlton, and I am out.